You watched this Tennessee game, Zach. What were your high-level impressions?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that first half, it just, I don't know, it didn't take long to feel different than last season. And we've talked about the Austin P game, how close that was. But even at other times last season when Tennessee would still win these blowout games, the explosiveness from the offense wasn't always there. It was there in the run game quite a bit. We saw some huge runs from Jalen Wright and Dylan Sampson last season. And you saw the occasional big pass play, but it was, it was a lot of screen passes on the perimeter, a lot of just very vanilla concepts that Tennessee was getting into. It was taking longer to snap the ball between plays. A lot of looking to the sideline for checks to see what play you need to get into. And immediately with Nico on Saturday, you could see the tempo, total control of the offense. I mean, he knew exactly what to do, where to go with the ball. That to me was the first thing that I think stood out, was just how in control he was of everything. And then secondly, I think we all kind of had this moment at the same time at the exact same point in the game. It was a couple of over the middle passes that Nico made on the same drive, maybe even back-to-back plays. And that first one, I told y'all in the group text that we're in, we're talking about Tennessee stuff. The first one, I audibly gasped when I saw the pass because it was that. I mean, it was that good. Like
It was.
You hate to overhype it because it's not what I want to do here. It's just in that moment you're like, oh, that's what this team was missing last season. That's what. I mean, a little better coming out of his hand than it looked coming out of Hendon Hooker's hand. And we know how great Hendon Hooker was in this offense. And in that moment, yeah, it's Chattanooga, but those throws, man, that was what Joe Milton just couldn't consistently do last season. And he gave it his best effort. He did all he could. He's in New England now trying to iron out those kinks in his delivery or whatever causes him to be off target at times. But man, he just looks so fluid, so smooth. You got to keep it going, but it was everything you could have hoped that it could have been against Chattanooga. One half, setting a record for passing yards in a half, not just having to go score in the red zone with your legs, finding Ethan Davis down there, hooking up with Dante Thornton. It was, I can understand why everybody's so excited walking out of that game, even though the caveat there is that, okay, yeah, it was just Chattanooga. That's what you're supposed to do. That right exactly. There. It's they outperformed our score prediction. I think we had 52-3, 55-3. I mean, and we thought we might be high.
Outscored it by 17 points.
Yeah.
I mean, they blew the doors off this thing, and Nico just looks every bit of the real deal. Is he perfect? No, he's not. I think the craziest part out of all this is that he still has room to grow. I mean, you saw in that 2-minute warning or whatever I guess the 2-minute warning is like trademarked. They have to call it the 2-minute timeout or something.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I didn't pick up on that. Oh,
yeah. We were talking about that. And we were like, why do they call it the 2-minute timeout? Like it's a 2-minute warning. But regardless, another cool little thing with the NFL and their incredibly litigious protection of everything they do. But you saw in that final 2 minutes, it wasn't smooth as butter, and then he had those moments where he wasn't absolutely perfect, and he still has room to grow. And I think you're going to see probably more of it against NC State when they have a little bit more of a powerful defense. There'll be moments where it's not perfect, and he still looked this good. That it's crazy. This man had played one full collegiate football game. He is just now probably 19, maybe 20 if he's like an older-ish student. And he just looked cool, calm, collected, never shaken, even when plays broke down. He knew when to run. Mr. Jones says here, quick decisions and knowing when to run was huge, and his accuracy, as you were saying, Zach, was absolutely ridiculous. Eric says he started 8 for 8 for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's just the way that he shined in this game was unlike anything that we've seen around here. He is technically, I mean, he's as old as a sophomore, but he's technically a redshirt freshman. And this year, I don't want to speak out of school. But this year, I think he's going to be better than Hendon Hooker was in his 5th year of college. And Hendon Hooker had one of the great seasons as a Tennessee quarterback ever until he got hurt. I mean, he had a transcendent season that took Tennessee to heights they hadn't been at in 20 years. And And I think Nico's probably going to be better than that this year. Like, that's what you saw. He has to do it in a couple of different ways that are big that we haven't seen yet. Under significant pressure. Obviously, that's going to happen against your Alabamas, your Georgias. Some of the other teams on the schedule don't look like pushovers. Oklahoma. And then in crunch time, the 2-minute drill. You can't have a screwed up 2-minute drill in those big moments like he had in this UTC game. That can't happen. You have to be that clutch guy. And so that is still yet to be seen, but the pure talent there it's there and more. He glides around the field. He's elusive, smart, quick decision maker. His release is incredibly quick. His throws are incredibly accurate. And it's just everything. Everybody's been saying like, oh, he's perfect for the Josh Heupel system. Most of the teams in America would trade in their quarterback for this kid. Like, let's be clear how special the dude is that Tennessee has right now. I mean, I'll ask you this. In the entire landscape of college football that you've seen so far after this first weekend, what quarterback would you trade Nico for in America that you've watched?
Yeah, I don't think there's one that really sticks out because I think with Dylan Gabriel, as a Josh Heupel coach quarterback, you saw a lot of that Oregon game. That offense looked like kind of like Tennessee's last year in a sense.
It looked
a
rough.
lot of screen passes and everything was completions under 10 yards. And plus, obviously in context, he's so hand in hand with Josh Heupel and Joey Hosley on everything they do. That's why this is really magical. It's the talent and then the scheme, all of that coming together. It's kind of the perfect storm. We think it will be. And then the season does kind of get off to a good start the way the schedule lays out. Eric there in the comments mentions it. You play Chattanooga, which is almost like a preseason game, right? You get to kind of do what we saw Saturday. They played a ton of people. I mean, that's the most people I think I've ever seen Tennessee playing a game, which is usually a complaint that we have.
Football is back, and what better way to bet on the big games than on Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in Tennessee that's bringing sports betting to a whole new level. When you sign up for Zen Sports, you'll automatically earn up to a $100 no-danger first wager. If your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $100. And for the football season, Zen Sports is launching a revamped betting platform for both college football and the NFL. And what's better? With our new look, Zen Sports will be offering daily promotions, including odds boosts, same-game parlays, no-danger wagers, and much more. Zen Sports also offers a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program, and if you qualify, you can earn monthly comps at sporting events, concerts, and even sportsbook bonuses. It's by invite only, so go to zensports.com/VIP for details. What are you waiting for, football fans? Start betting with Zen Sports, where you will receive true odds on all parlays and an enhanced user experience. Get going. Download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports betting just got better. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. No danger. First wager limited to plus 500 odds to qualify. Boosted odds are derived from equivalent parlay bets offered in Tennessee. Must be 21 or older in Tennessee to bet. Zen Sports.
I mean, they got everybody on the field, guys that will not play guys that might not even travel to Athens, got in this game against Chattanooga.
96 dudes. They tweeted it today.
So you had that aspect of it. You get that out of the way, then you go play a real opponent in NC State, an opponent we think you should handle, but they're a Power 5 team. They have Power 5 or Power 4. They have Power 4 talent. This is a team that was kind of like a dark horse playoff team. I expect them to improve a decent amount from week 1 to week 2. I'm not, Dave Doran he's not been a championship caliber coach out there, but he usually has them in a 8, 9, 10 win season. They'll be better than what we saw against Western, but you go play them at a neutral site where I'm sure there'll be plenty of NC State fans. We know there'll be plenty of Tennessee fans. You get Kent State at home. So you get these 3 games where you kind of get challenged in that NC State game. Then you play another team to kind of at home to, sharpen everything and get everything the way you want it. And then you go on the road and play Oklahoma. It's so much better than having to play Oklahoma like this week, for example. So I think that part, you couldn't ask for this season to start a better way, I don't think.
It is a very nice setup to get him into the flow of things. But yeah, David says it here. Oklahoma will tell us the truth. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I do think that you can make declarative statements after what we have seen. The talent is there. Now, does that translate straight A to B to him being a legendary quarterback? No, because you don't know how he's going to handle pressure situations. Flat out, we do not know. Iowa had one of the better defenses in college football last year, and he shredded them. Now you are playing a little bit of a handicapped version of their full-blown defense from last year, but still, I mean, that defense that he played in Iowa last year was far better than what he saw against UTC this weekend, and he laid 35 on those boys. So, there might have been a defensive score in there. I don't remember everything.
Yeah, James Pierce had the pick six.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, hey, still, put up pretty nice numbers against an Iowa defense that was super stout. And I am willing to say the pure talent with what he showed in the way that he fits into this offense, he has the ability to do absolutely everything you need him to do. Period. Like I said, he has more ability now as a redshirt freshman than Hendon Hooker did, and Hendon Hooker in his 5th year in college. And Hendon Hooker had that legendary season, but Hendon Hooker, obviously, we know hindsight 2020. Hendon Hooker had that clutch gene. He had that into the Alabama game, unfazed. Let's go make a play. It doesn't matter. Does Nico have that? We don't know, and that is yet to be seen. But it was just pretty crazy. Kevin says it here. I was happy to see the chemistry with Nico and Brew. How about Brew McCoy? I don't want to say he looked like a brand new dude, but looking very well. Just
like an outside linebacker.
Yes.
Edge rusher.
and wearing the number 5, the Hendon Hooker number.
Which he said he it's always been a number that he loved, right? He grew up loving Reggie Bush. He's from Southern California, went to USC, before he came to Tennessee. He said he wanted to give the Hendon Hooker number a year to breathe, coming right off that 2022 season, which is understandable.
Hey, I respect that. But it was just incredibly exciting all the way around. Everything that you saw as far as that goes, because Nico was great, and then you go to Brazel looks really fun. Brew looked great. Dante Thornton looked great and made some awesome plays. Looks like he's already kind of back in his stride. Now, this is tough. I feel like a lot of the analysis that I've heard with Nico playing so well has turned into a little bit of a Joe Milton bashing activity. A little bit out of necessity, because you do have to make that comparison and just go like, oh, they didn't have this year, and now with Nico, I think they will. But yeah, realistically, just the difference that you can tell in the catchability of the balls that are getting put out there for these guys, like how much of a relief does that have to be if you're a Dante Thornton who kind of struggled at times last season, was coming into his own a little bit, got injured. You want to look as good as possible. I mean, he's just floating balls out there on a cloud to you and just putting them right where they need to be. That's got to be so nice, because it makes everybody look good when you have a guy that can do that. And that, if he can do that against NC State, obviously the hype's going to get taken to up 10 notches. And if he could do it against Oklahoma on the road in Norman, in these, we're going to know in 4 weeks exactly where we're at with this dude, and the potential is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, I think you said it a couple weeks ago. That Oklahoma game is kind of like that LSU game in 2022. That's where, I mean, that was the moment when everyone kind of set up and was like, oh, okay, yeah, Tennessee, they might be pretty good. They went to Baton Rouge and handled LSU. I think that'll definitely probably be the case if they start 4-0 and beat Oklahoma out there. Really, you don't even have to be a blowout. That'd be great. Low stress wins are fantastic, especially in football. But that'll definitely be where the story really begins, I guess, for this team, if they're going to do something special. As far as the Milton talk, mentioning that real quick, it's unfortunate. Like, we know who Joe Milton was, talented guy. It is what it is at this point. The guy loved Tennessee, though. You have to appreciate what he did for 3 years. He's a big part of the culture that is at Tennessee right now. He could have wrecked that culture in 2022. I mean, he really could have, sitting behind Hendon Hooker after initially winning the job, seeing all the praise that Hooker got. And you never really saw, I don't know if inside maybe it got to him ever, but on the outside, what you saw at games and what everybody has said that you saw behind the scenes, he's a key reason that culture is where it is. So the fact that he got the start last season, I think that probably bought Josh Heupel a lot of equity with a lot of players for a long time because of how loyal he was to Milton. And you know what? He went 9-4. We haven't had a lot of 9-4 seasons that we've seen around Tennessee the last 20 years. That was like the fourth time they've won 9 games since Philip Fulmer left. You got to appreciate that. You know, it wasn't the season that everybody wanted, but you had some nice wins there. You got revenge on South Carolina. You beat Texas A&M. You beat Kentucky on the road. Got you to the Citrus Bowl, and then graciously stepped aside. He didn't have to do that to let Nico start that game to get a head start on this season. I think Milton should always be a fan favorite for what he did for the university.
Yeah, he was a very solid, just kind of, I don't know, a tweener, like just sort of a bridge guy to get you to where you needed to be here with Nico. And I feel like I'm blowing up Nico's spot here, you know, just really showering him with accolades again. We got to see it against these top-notch opponents, but it's all going to come in time. But my entire point is just the talent at a base level, the ability to take you where you want to go. We have unequivocal proof it's in there, period. Will he harness it and put it out there against your Oklahomas, your Alabamas, your Georgias? We'll see. That is still what has to happen here. But is that talent in there, contained within Nico's body? Yes, he can do that. So, I if you're asking me, I think we're in for something pretty special here.